Hi everyone and welcome back to Control Plus. You've probably seen a few of my colleagues on here already, Matt and Ruiz. And if you haven't, definitely check out their episodes. They've had some brilliant conversations. But today I'm hosting. I'm Manpreet. I lead the data and AI recruitment practice at Michael Page. And I've got Amy joining me, someone who brings a fresh people-centered perspective to transformation. She's driven large-scale transformation across the region. She's focused on making transformation stick, not buzzwords, real cultural shift, real behavioral change, and real impact. So today we're diving into what truly makes data and AI adoption succeed or fail, why one size fits all never works, and what leaders and teams can actually do to fix misalignment and build cultures ready for what's next. Let's get into it. Amy, welcome. Thank you so much. I'm so glad we're doing this. The last time we spoke, 45 minutes flew by. You have such depth in your perspective. You've worked with different organizations, industries, cultures. You've seen things go very well, things go very bad, the highs, the lows, and all the kind of messy bits in the middle. So for anyone listening that doesn't know your background yet, could you tell us what pulled you into this world of making data and AI actually happen in the region?
Sure. Well, thank you again. It's great to be here. And like you said, last time we spoke, I think we only had sort of 15, 20 minutes locked in the diary, but ended up carrying on for quite some time. So clearly two people very passionate about what we're talking about. My journey is a bit unconventional. I didn't wake up as a child many years ago and dream of working with data. In fact, probably quite the opposite for most of my life. But what I came to realize as a more of a seasoned professional is that data's always been there.
Yeah.
We're always working with data in some form, and it's not just numbers. Data isn't just numbers. Data's everything, everywhere. And I hadn't considered that really, that I'd been working with data for so long. I've been here in the Middle East for nearly 20 years now. And the majority of that time I was working with PwC. So half of that was client facing, so working as a consultant with clients, and the second part of that tenure was internally, so doing to us what we were doing, what I'd been doing with clients, is sort of how I thought about it, and working to make sure that as an organisation we were as efficient and well-oiled as we can be. Not to start with, nothing to do with data again, although it was there. But a lot more sort of internally, operations, people, clients and markets, business development. And then it turned into more transformations, digital transformations. That was what we called it all back then, was everyone was digitally transforming. So new tools, new technologies. And so that became where I grew the sort of, I guess, the last part of my time with PwC, and more that became data focused, or without really knowing it, I became this custodian of a lot of data and a lot of information, and a lot of processes and a lot of policies that I'd implemented as part of that journey. And so the natural progression became to lead data for the firm, which I did for a couple of years, to get them to a place where we were ready for AI, because as I'm sure we'll talk about, having good quality, reliable data is paramount for anything that you need to do. And so making sure that was there, so that the sort of the AI and the more sort of the technology strategy teams could do what they needed to do. And then more recently, I've joined a smaller boutique consultancy, and there I'm again working in operations. So that's kind of where I've got to today, and data's come along for the journey.
I love that. There's a lot of things that you said there that I'm sure we'll touch on quite a fair bit. What's interesting is that, yes, when you're obviously client-facing, you're working with different organizations, but you were also doing it internally for the business. When did you soon realize that all of this would be different, in the sense that no two organizations, including the one you are working in, are never going to operate the same way? And how did data kind of come into that?
So I think I learned that along the journey. So being a consultant, the nature of the work we do is usually very fast turnaround. You go in, you work on a project, you come out, you go on to the next, and so you get used to that. That becomes the norm. That people have different ways of working. It's a different industry. It's a different, the ask itself, the work we were doing is different, and so for me that became the norm. That wasn't different for me. That was standard. But what is common across most industries is bottom line, and a lot of the costs are the same, and that they have, or the products or the what they're providing, what they're doing, whether it be a government agency, whether it be a hospital, whether it be a bank, there are still some things fundamentally, especially operationally, that are consistent. There's still people that want to be paid. There's still technology that needs to be paid for, and system hardware that you need to purchase to be able to operate. So all of those things are very similar. Just how you execute on those is slightly different based on those industries. And so it was a unconscious realization, I guess, that there are many similarities as well as the obvious differences.
Well, I mean, let's get into that a little bit, because I feel like that's what people take or are underestimated usually. If you've said, let's say a hospital, for example, in a public sector organizations, whilst there are a lot of similarities, there's also going to be a lot of difference in terms of the end output. Do you think like a blanket data and AI strategy across an organization like a hospital or a public sector business should be the same?
No.
Is it is it usually the same?
I'd hope not. No, look, I think it comes down to the execution. So fundamentals are there, and the steps you should go through would be very similar. Almost like a checklist of what you need to have in place, what you need, needs to be the same. But the choices you make to check those things off your list are different depending on your industry or on your organization. If you're thinking about, let's carry on with a hospital. We think about hospitals and the data that they have. It's a lot of very sensitive personal information.
Yeah,
they need to be mindful of that. Yeah, and so there's a lot of more hoops and a lot of more things that a hospital would need to be mindful of when coming up with strategies for any sort of data management before we even get to AI and what AI can do.
Correct.
But then, of course, a hospital will have different uses for AI in terms of maybe diagnostics and different things, so not just around operational data. So again, it's the checklist should be the same, or when you're starting to think about your strategy, the question is, what are you trying to achieve?
Yeah,
that's the same across all organizations. But how do you get there will differ.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I think we've sometimes seen very, I wouldn't use the word, I don't think superficial might be the word, but very broad strategies from a data perspective across many organizations. Okay, let's look at it from a recruitment standpoint. It starts off with, okay, we really want to invest in our data ecosystem and AI. We were looking for a head of AI. And then it's kind of then working backwards as to, okay, well, when this person comes in, they'll build their team. They'll know what to do. They'll tell us what to do. And then you have 12 months, and within 12 months, they'll do X, Y, and Z for us. Now, that application across different industries is something that I see very commonly. Is that something that you see as well? And what are your thoughts on that?
I think you see it, but that's also why a lot of things, I wouldn't say fail, but don't quite work out the way you planned. I think the question everybody needs to ask is well, you said there at the start, we want to invest in data and AI. Why?
Yeah.
If you don't understand why you're doing it, everyone's saying they need it, but do you? Like, why? And to what extent do you need a head of AI, or is there somebody in the organization that actually could start to build what you need right now? Is it just, what are you worried about? Like, what's keeping you up at night? What's making you think you need it? You don't necessarily need it. You might need a few things, or you might, start implementing Copilot or ChatGPT or whatever you might want to do. That can be fine. You don't necessarily need a whole data, an AI team or an AI leader. Again, it's asking yourself fundamentally, what are you trying to solve? What do you think this is going to solve for you?
Yeah.
Just by magically hiring a head of AI doesn't mean things are going to change overnight. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
And also that requires investment, which a lot of people think that hiring the people is the investment. But no, there's a lot you need to do. And depending on how big the problem is you're trying to solve, if we go back to data, most people or most organizations have just been compiling this data for years and not really done anything with it. That's step one, is what data have we got? Where is it? What state is it in? Before you even think about AI. And that's, again, things can potentially lead to mishaps is you try to run before you can walk with these things. But also, where are you running to? What are you running from? That's what you need to ask yourself. So yes, I see it a lot. When I was even on the job market myself, those are the conversations I was having in interviews. And I would gasp, what are you trying to achieve? Like, what's this role actually? What do you expect from this role? Just to really gauge how much they've understood the ask themselves. And a lot of the times people don't know what they're asking for. They just go AI.
Oh, it's the new buzzword.
Okay. So to answer the question, I see it a lot, but it makes me smile. It makes me smile.
Yeah, let's just put it that way. That actually brings me to my next question. So from a recruitment and a capability standpoint, what are the most common, I would say, things that companies consistently get wrong that you see quite a lot, and what would your advice be?
In terms of hiring? Well, I think fundamentally it comes back to asking themselves what they want to achieve, and they haven't done that. So if you haven't done that, how do you know what you're hiring for and whether the people you're meeting are the right people? I think you need to also recognize that everyone has a different starting point. Some people are very much more. They have a much more mature data ecosystem or technology infrastructure, and are able to do things faster. Some companies have a lot of red tape that they'd need to go through to be able to do anything. So they have to think about things like that. But I think when it comes to recruiting the right people, you've probably got, I'd hope you'd have a lot of good people already in your organization. Who are desperate to do things differently, to make an impact, more of an impact, to evolve. I would give them an opportunity to see what they can do before you rush out and go and hire a head of AI who might have all these great ideas, but have they actually ever executed on any of that before? Have they ever lived it from start to finish? I would stop looking at the buzzwords and on people's CVs and applications, which we all do, and really go into that depth of, tell me how you've done that. Especially if that person has pushed back and challenged and said, are you sure it's AI you need, or is it just an automation? Are you sure it's this you need, or is it really somebody who can understand what it is you're trying to achieve, which is why asking that first question to yourself is super important. What am I trying to achieve here, and why can't I do it with my current operational environment?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think it's one of the first questions I'll ask as well is, what's your data ecosystem at the moment? How ready are you, just what you said earlier as well? And is this going to be the person that's going to solve that problem? Because a lot of the times it's, whether you're building a Power BI dashboard and you don't need a data scientist for, and that someone has to raise that question, be like, where is this misalignment coming from? And I think these misalignments can be so many different things. You've touched on data readiness, you touched on data governance, you touched on recruitment. We've touched on, clearly a one-size-fits-all doesn't work across industry to industry. What do you think are the top 5 problems that you see constantly at the moment? And I mean that from a data and AI adoption standpoint.
I think the top 5 is hard, but I think what people have to look at is really understanding, what have we got today? What are, you talked about governance. What are the rules that I have to operate in, given that the organization I'm a part of and the part of the world that we're a part of? What do I need to make sure that whatever we implement, we're following the regulations? Or do we understand the regulation around data and AI? More and more they're getting complex, They're getting, in some cases, quite contradictory. How do you make sure that you're staying on top of that? Because everyone's excited about AI and the next big thing and rolling out something. But have you really thought about whether that's safe for you to do so, whether that be from a data protection perspective or other, any other challenges that you might face? But I think that's a big one, is not having the wider consideration, whether that be for your data, whether that be for your technology infrastructure, the cost thing, that may come, the investment requirement, and really just making sure that you're putting the right people in the right places and asking them to do the right thing.
No, I know you said picking the top 5 was hard, but I feel like one thing I really want to know is, what do you think would kill a project the fastest? Would it be the fact that you could do everything right and the data isn't right that would do it? What do you think would be like the one most important piece?
It depends what you're implementing, because it would hugely depend on what you're trying to achieve. I think there is a lack of consideration for how difficult some of this is if the data isn't right. So let's bring it back to data.
Yeah.
Not my favorite topic, but I'm going to say it a lot. But about the data, if you're not ready, anything you do is not going to land with the impact that you need it to land with. If you want to launch something, back in the day, it used to be a PowerPoint, a Power BI dashboard was like, oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But those dashboards, for example, or any sort of insights that AI might be helping to get from this data, is only going to be as good as the data you're giving it and the information you're giving it. And if you're building a GPT, what are you telling it? What are you teaching it?
Yeah.
What learning are you giving these machines?
Yeah.
If you don't get that right,
yeah,
things are not going to land with the impact, and they're not going to have the outcomes that you want. It's not going to show that value. And so I think that's the biggest thing that can kill something, because everyone gets very excited, something launches. Oh, is that it? Well, that's not, can we go back to my PowerPoint, please? Whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So I think it's people underestimate what has to go in.
Yeah.
To get something out.
Yeah.
And so, it's difficult to say get everything else right. But for me, that would be the biggest thing. So whatever and that comes, I guess, back to that expectation setting.
Yeah.
What are we trying to do?
Yeah.
And is it groundbreaking for us as an organization? Is it, that's going to help like 5 people, but everyone else isn't going to see anything else? It's those sorts of things you need to manage. But I would say the biggest road to failure is underestimating what it takes to get there.
That makes sense. And when it's interesting you say that, though, because when you look at anything publicly, you go to an event, you go to a conference, you look at the LinkedIn posts and stuff like that. What do you think is the biggest misalignment in terms of what people are talking about versus what you actually see in companies being implemented?
I mean, that's the thing. Everyone wants a seat at this table, and there's events and they talk a great game. But again, how many of these things have actually been implemented, executed from start to finish, and are showing continued value and continued growth and change in it? Because these things, something that'd be cool right now, by the time this is edited and aired, it's probably been replaced by something else. It's very quick how these things move, and so I think the misalignment is, it's great to have all these ideas, but are they actually realistic? Are they actually useful in the real world? And it's about, again, what problem are you trying to solve?
Yeah.
And how many people have that problem?
Yeah.
Is that just a problem today? Is that an ongoing problem? Again, it's sitting back and it's asking. It's very classic sort of, I guess, consulting training that I had very, very long time ago. We keep asking why.
Yeah.
Why? And a lot of these guys get, they can usually answer the first why, but then you ask it again, well, then it stops. And then it just becomes fluff, and it's, well, you need this, it's going to do this.
Yeah.
But why do I need that? And so I think there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of flash, there's a lot of salespeople out there doing their thing, which is great. But how many people have actually implemented these things and successfully.
Yeah.
And they've seen really positive outcomes. And is it something you can replicate?
Yeah.
Is it something that you need to consistently be paying lots of money for? Is it something that you can train your staff or upskill your staff to do, to take on? You know, what are you really trying to achieve? And I think, there's talking about it, and there's posting about it. There's using AI to generate your posts, which you see a lot of these days.
Guilty.
Listen, we all need, if it's there, we all need help. But there's, there's good ways to do it, and there's very poor ways to do it. But again, there's talk, and then there's actually, I've done this.
Yeah.
And learning from it, and actually having the courage to get stuck in and try something new, and having a leadership team around you, having managers around you that are willing to let you do that.
Yeah. There's so much to this. There's asking the why, but it's the continuously asking the why, continuously aligning. It sounds like you're almost in the middle of 20 people with all different minds, with different whys, different what they want, different problems, and you're there expected to solve them across all of them.
Welcome to operations.
Sounds like a wonderful job. That's interesting. I mean, how would you actually, it's something you said, so what's your practical advice to someone who needs to do that? How do you get leadership, data teams, tech teams, business teams aligned to the same topic? Or is it never going to be aligned because every team or business team may want something else? So what's your kind of way of getting about this?
There's no secret sauce or magic wand that can make that happen. Especially as the organizations if they're larger organizations and there's many people.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of the smaller organizations, it's easier because those roles are normally done by the same people, and so you do have that common goal, and it's easier to find that common ground. I think as organizations get larger, the skill I think that evolved in me as I was going through my journey is trying to find out what makes a person tick, and appreciating that what is valuable to one person isn't necessarily valuable to the person sat next to them, even in the same organization. You know, if you take somebody who works in IT operations, for example, what's valuable to them is going to be very different to somebody that sits in and leads finance, or that sits and leads HR. They're all going to have slightly different things of what's valuable to them. So what I found the trick is to understand, have conversation with them. What do you need? Really, and then when you're pulling something together, keep referring back to that. You know, keep going back and making sure that everybody feels heard and seen, that you're trying to solve. You're not going to be able to solve everybody's problems.
Yeah, of course.
But the fact that you've considered them, you've brought them in, you know, where things can, and taking people on that journey.
Yeah.
Don't do things siloed. Don't, this is mine, you can't have it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah.
Bring people's ideas to the table. You don't have to go with them, but at least people feel heard. Yeah. They have a say. And it's encouraging people to be curious, because none of us have done all this. This is new to all of us, right? So no one's an expert. I mean, a lot of people claim to be. Yeah. Are they really? How can you be an expert in something that's this new?
Yeah.
You might have tried a few things, and you might have dabbled a bit in LLM and things like that, but it doesn't make you an expert. It just makes you curious, and it makes you potentially someone that you'd want to come on that journey with you. But I think you're always going to have people that want different things.
Yeah.
You're always going to have people that think it's going to do something it's just never going to do for you.
Yeah.
And it's about being able to appreciate that and accept that and explain it. You know, set those expectations. Talk to people. Say, look, it's going to do this. It's probably going to do this. It probably won't do this, but it could maybe later. You know, really just storytelling.
Yeah.
My life is storytelling, and bringing people along on that journey the best that you can, knowing that some people are very tech forward and very much on board this train already, and others not so much. But having the patience to wait for them, to bring them along at a different pace.
Yeah.
Again, it's all just about relationship building.
Yeah.
And ironically, it's the human-led side of it.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and that's a bit where people fail as well, is forgetting that all of this needs to be human led. The technology can only do so much.
I love that. Well, that's really interesting. Something you said there about look at the people that still exist within your business. If a leader was sitting in front of you right now, how would you advise them to orchestrate that within their business?
It can be done in many different ways, again, depending on the size of your business and the nature of what you do, I think. But the easiest thing to do is start a community if you don't have one already.
Yeah.
I would say, you know, put a comms out that, you know, AI is here or something is coming or whatever, however you want to frame it, that works for you and your organization, and that you're looking for people who are interested in helping shape what that looks like for your company.
Yeah.
People want to add value. You know, people typically want to be proud of where they work and they want to say that they've been a part of building that.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets to do that. So this gives that opportunity. So I would say very simply start by asking the question, is there anyone that is curious? And be very clear, you don't need to have, you know, you don't need to be working in the technology team. You don't need to have data or technology as your day job. You know, give this as something to do that people can go and be curious, people can go and learn as they go and just be part of that journey. Because no one has the knowledge and experience of your business like the people that have been working there.
Yeah.
It's really simple. It costs you nothing.
Yeah.
Because these people are already working for you.
Yeah.
Let them have that conversation. But if you do then need to go, you don't have the skill set. Unfortunately, one of the sad facts of what we're seeing today is a lot of great people are losing their jobs.
Yeah.
To AI for no good reason, but that's a whole other hour we can talk about. But there is a great people in the market that have such depth of experience in an industry or for an organization, but are being overlooked because they don't have the new hot skill set that's required, which is AI. But again, what is an AI skill set? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So I think I would really, from a recruitment perspective, really think about that as well. And actually, how can we turn their story of being replaced by AI or being replaced by an automation into something positive for them that they can take forward? I think there's two sides. Don't be quick to get rid of all your people. But if you do, note, and if you are hiring, really don't overlook those years of experience. Because no one's done this extensively. Everyone's learning. Give people an opportunity to upskill themselves and grow and evolve into the roles that you need.
Yeah. Well, it actually solves the kind of challenge around domain as well, right? Because a lot of the times you still need someone that understands the value chain of the business unit or the area that you're operating in. And no one's going to bring that to you more than the person that's been operating in it themselves.
Correct.
Yeah. And then you've also got an element of training here. You've got the executors, for example, that are in your business that can actually upskill someone that's on the domain side and really invest in the people that are already within the organization. Now, I love that. There's also this concept of the infamous silos between data, AI versus tech. You know, I've seen that, to be completely honest, very openly as well. I've seen, you know, we've hired some really interesting people that are new data people in organizations where I wouldn't use the word disrupt, but they do come with bringing about some change. And the first people that we've seen not being okay with that are the tech enablers. So, for example, you'll have someone really senior in tech be like, well, we'll see how long they last, or we'll see we'll see if this sticks. What's your advice in terms of, one, eliminating that, or any advice you can give in someone who's maybe on the data side who's trying to break that silo?
Yeah, I would say that is very common.
Yeah.
You'll have had IT operations tech teams that have been solely responsible for anything to do with technology for many years. They feel very protective of that. And yes, you do see the walls go up whenever anyone else from outside comes into that space. Again, I don't think there's a magic wand to fixing it. I think the first step to anything is acknowledging. and really understanding what it is. What's the remit? What are your remits? Where do they overlap? Where are they very separate? But again, even if there is a silo or you are in different teams, doesn't mean you have to work that way.
Yeah.
Collaborate, share, be open. It's about respecting each other, respecting each other's backgrounds, experience, ideas. Don't come in and think you've got all the answers.
Yeah.
But then for the people that have been there a long time, don't put your walls up and think these people aren't going to bring anything to you but trouble. I think it's finding that balance.
Yeah.
And you're only going to do that if you open the door.
Yeah.
And you let people in and you bring them to you bring them to the table. That sounds very simplistic. It's not always that easy. But I think, at the end of the day, again, everyone is trying to get to that same goal.
Yeah.
But has that goal been really defined? Does everybody know?
Mm-hmm.
And does everybody know what part they have to play in getting to that point? Or is everyone just scrambling to be the first one to get there? Of course, then that's going to cause tension and problems and issues. That's, I think, for me, the biggest advice is keep your doors open.
Yeah.
Even if you have very specific things that you'll do, don't do that in secret. I mean, what is the big secret?
Yeah.
You're all there to get a job done. You're all there to move a company forward. Do it together.
Yeah.
It's going to make your life easier. It's going to make the people in your team's lives easier, because you don't want these environments. It just gets political and it gets toxic and nasty. No one wants to work in that environment.
Yeah.
So don't create it. Don't give it space.
Yeah.
Open the door, let the fresh air come in. But also, again, it comes down to that respecting the experience and respecting that we know what works.
Yeah.
And they probably know what doesn't because they've tried it before.
Correct.
So again, learn, ask questions, be curious, and be considerate of each other.
Yeah. I mean, that explorative diagnostic kind of what's the current state, what was the previous state, needs to be explored at the beginning, because you don't want to come in and reinvent the wheel. Sometimes there's such simple solutions just waiting to happen that just may have not been prioritized initially, or maybe there's simple things that you can start with, then lead by example. You utilize that and mint it as much as you can. As someone who's in a leadership role from a data AI perspective, want to be going in and saying, bringing that, I want to be working together. I want to be bringing that collaborative, adaptive culture. Anyone that's on the tech side needs to be like, how do I enable this person? Because we're going to do this together.
Yeah. How can I help?
How do I get on this story?
Yeah. And not feel like this is coming in because you've not been doing a good enough job. I think some people get very defensive in the technology space that the way they've taken it is that I wasn't doing good enough for this organization. You don't value what I'm doing for you. Correct. That's why you've brought in these new people. Again, understanding, well, why are they here? That's where that narrative comes in, is the why. Why and what, and why can't our current people do it, or be, and if they can't do it, at least get them involved. That's going to diffuse those tensions. I would hope. But again, I've seen it work really well. I've seen it work very poorly. It's not going to be a magic wand or one size fits all for these things. But I always just find if you treat people well and with respect, you'll get much further than if you don't.
And sometimes, it's the simple things that make the biggest impact. It doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world 100%. That you need to implement. It's actually 100%. Most of the times it's like these small, simple things.
Yep.
And if you can get that, you.
And you know how you find out what they are?
You ask why.
You ask. This is the thing. You ask your people. What really annoys you about your job, or like what small thing, what task do you do every day? Just ask people. Because they're too busy doing it to really think about how they could change it. Just go and have a conversation. Change. Like you said, that small change can have a huge impact. And it doesn't have to be a shiny, big, huge new technology or new piece of AI or AI thing, whatever it might be. AI is such a broad thing. It can be something really simple, but will have a huge impact to the working lives of your people, and hopefully the sort of efficiencies and capabilities of your organization.
I mean, you can't be resistant to change in a world of new, but you can be collaborative. Sometimes it's easier.
I would say it's always better to do it with people than on your own.
Well, you kind of need to take every single person that's in that journey on that journey, really. Sometimes it's seen as I've seen that mindset a lot in the sense of, well, I'm the only person that's supposed to be doing this, but not really, because you do have other people. You just need to bring them along your journey.
There's no I in team.
Yeah, I love that. And do you think these problems are universal, or is this something that you think is amplified in this region? I know we live in a very multicultural, very dynamic country where you've got people from all over the world working here. And there's a constant comparison. Well, like, well, it wasn't like this there, or it wasn't like that there. And I feel like that's done internationally as well as locally. What's your kind of thoughts on that?
Look, I think fundamentally everyone has the same challenges.
Yeah.
They might come at them from a slightly different cultural angle or a slightly different maturity angle. But I think fundamentally the challenges are still there.
Yeah.
Everyone is scrambling for the next big thing. Everyone is wanting to be as successful as possible during the years that they are able to work. And that will, whether we're talking about now in the era of AI or, 50 years ago, or even before that, there's always been something. The next thing has always been coming. And there's always been people fighting to be at the top or at the forefront of all of those things. And that's just a global way of working. It's just on one of those things, and it's never going to stop. I think people just remember, whatever you're doing, be humble, be kind. Not everybody is going to think like you. Not everybody's going to have the vision that you might be having. Just again, sitting back and being mindful of that. It is, I think, a global challenge. And there are some people that are great at it. There are some people that are really, really not.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, some can be as successful as the others. There's no correlation with that. But for me, I think it's all about how you treat people and bring them along. But it's definitely not a regional, a Middle East thing. It's I hear that from my friends and peers all around the world. We have the same challenges.
Oh, that's good to know. And where do you see the GCC moving fastest?
Gosh, everywhere. No, that's one of the things I love about this region, right?
Yeah.
Is and I've always loved the kinds of projects I was put on, the companies I was working for. They're so ambitious, and they're so that's the word for it. Is it ambitious? They want the best for their country. They want the best for their people, and they'll stop at nothing to make that happen. And they'll pay money that needs to be paid to get things done, and the speed at which they can do things, I've loved, and that's one of the reasons I love this region.
Yeah.
You go to some of the more developed nations around the world, and the pace is a lot slower because the rate of change is slower. Maybe there's not the same amount of cash available to pay for these things. So the region generally has always been accelerated, and I think in this space, we see examples of it every day. Coming out of, we're sat in the UAE today. If we look at Abu Dhabi, the amount of amazing things coming out of Abu Dhabi and Dubai is it's crazy. And I hope it continues. The challenge is making sure that, as we touched on earlier, that the protective layer of what is there is coming along just as fast and not seen as an afterthought, because it's harder to scale things back than it is to catch up. So I think we need to think a lot more around the rules and the regulations and the sort of the protection aspect of these things. But I think I can't pick one thing that the GCC will do faster than anyone else. It's a race. Everyone's in it. What I would say though is the GCC has always been known for being a front runner in a lot of these things, and I'm very excited to still be here and be a part of that and seeing that happen around me, not just being part of it, but I'm lucky to be working and in my stage of my career right now in this region.
That's amazing. Thank you. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of, it can be so easy for us to continuously sit and say it's a really clearly a very challenging role where you've got multiple stakeholders, you've got multiple components of misalignment, you're driving something that's new to every single person as well as yourself. And you don't have, as much as you want to kind of go back to a safety net, okay, we've done this before, maybe we'll try this again, when no one's done that before. And that newness can be really daunting. And to someone to have that kind of a positive mindset to say, it's new to everybody, I'm going to storytell, I'm going to take you on my journey, everyone's going to be involved in this as much as I am, and I'll lead it from the front. And that kind of mindset can really change the way that you might look at how challenging this can be for people.
Yeah, and I think it's about the wording you choose as well when you're telling the story. I mean, you talked a bit about misalignment. That can come across as a sort of a negative word. I think no one is deliberately misaligned. I think typically speaking, everyone in an organization is doing the best they can and pressing forward in a direction that they think is the right direction. Everyone's trying their best. And the challenge is, especially if new people come in or this new team, because they're quite youthful, the AI lot, they see these young, I'm not gonna say kids, but we laugh about, the kids are at it again. They need to think about that there's depth there that's missing, and really use these people that might seem to you to be misaligned, that they're not. They're just incredibly experienced and they have years and years and years of doing what they do. Use that.
Yeah.
Don't just be like, oh, you're old, you don't know what you're talking about. You've been doing the same thing forever. You're still using PowerPoint. What? Like, don't be like that.
Yeah.
Use that knowledge. Use it to learn for yourself. Be curious in what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then that would hopefully, build that relationship, which means that you'll move together faster. Ideally, it'd be nice if it always works out like that. It doesn't. But that's all good intentions. I like to be optimistic about these things.
Well, we're coming to the close of this, and before we wrap up, I wanted our listeners to kind of leave this podcast with some practical kind of takeaways. What's that one advice that you would give a C-suite leader that you feel they should internalize before they launch or want to launch a data and AI initiative? And for practitioners, what kind of one mindset change you'd advise in the next few years that would really, hopefully, have everyone on the same page?
Oh, a two-parter. Okay, so for the leader, for leaders, I'm going to say it again. It's asking, what are you trying to achieve?
Yeah.
Why? It's asking yourself why, and really knowing in your core what it is you're trying to achieve before you do anything. And I think that's the one, and understanding, and finding out that, I guess, doing your homework and finding out, well, why is that not happening today?
Yeah.
Is it because we're missing something that AI could help us solve? So for me, that would be the biggest one, is really asking why. Don't do it just because everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
It's that old thing, you wouldn't jump off a bridge if everybody else was, would you? Really, really, before you do anything, ask yourself why, and what are you really trying to achieve? Is this going to help you sleep better at night if this is done? And being able to articulate what exactly you need. I think for everybody else, I would say don't be scared of it.
Yeah.
Don't resist, don't push back. Be curious. You don't have to be the most technical person in the room. I'm not.
Yeah.
But at all. I work with some great people that are.
Yeah.
And I get to be curious, and I get to ask, show me how you did that and things. I mean, I couldn't do it myself. It takes me 3 months to do something that takes a friend of mine to do in sort of 3 minutes. But be curious.
Yeah.
People are terrified about losing their jobs. But try and understand, well, how can I evolve my way of working to make sure that doesn't happen? Is there a big part of my job that's very monotonous that could be replaced or done with an automation or something, some sort of simple AI? Be grateful. You don't have to do that anymore. Well, what else can you do? Is there a way you can pivot? Can you upskill yourself to do something else? Just don't see it as this big scary thing.
Yeah.
Even if you're not technical. Just think about how actually it could help you do what you do. Try it.
Yeah.
If in a safe environment where you can. Speak up if you want to get involved.
Yeah.
Like a lot of organizations try to have these communities of interest around certain things. If there isn't one, start one. Really just don't be afraid is my biggest piece of advice. It's I think if you are, you're more likely to get stung by it at some point. But if you're part of that journey and you put your hand up and you want to help out, you're more likely to succeed.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that aligns with something I've been saying for a very long time. It's not meant to replace you. It's meant to enable you. Let it and embrace it, really. So amazing. Amy, thank you so much for this. I really enjoyed that conversation. I know our listeners will as well.
Hope so. I can't believe it. There we've gone again, though. 45 minutes has just gone like that.
Yeah.